Hey guys, it's Melissa here with Web of Creativity, and this video is a part 2 video for the Detachable Pages mini album 3 large version. So part 1 is the cover that has this shaker element on it, and this is part 2, and part 2 is going to be the inside cover with these tags along with this binding technique. This is the Detachable Pages large version. So this video is going to be about the binding and covering the inside of the album, and then part 3 is going to be of the pages. So the links for part 1 and 3 are below, along with where to get the tutorial and kits, which is all on my blog at www.webofcreativity.net. So let's get started. It is time for the binding. So the binding has several pieces of cardstock. So we got this little bits, and these are for our side pieces in our binding. And then we have 3 different sizes. So we have 4 little, we're calling those large pieces, 3 medium pieces, 1 small medium piece, and then we got several of our small pieces here. So I'm going to score all this when the directions for scoring is on the tutorial, and then I'll come back and show how to fold and put it together. Alright, so with the items for the binding, I'm going to call the largest piece A and the second largest piece B, since we have multiples of those. So we're going to go ahead and fold A. Let me make sure I have the right one. So A is going to get folded like this. So you have the 2 large parts are folded, and then we have the 2 smaller parts folded and scored. So we'll fold the largest part first. Then I'm going to flip it and fold the other 2 the opposite direction, but both of them going the same direction. Then I'm going to taper the corners. So I'm going to cut at an angle to the first score line, and then I'm going to add tape to the tab. So this is our first piece, and it will get attached together, but let's first fold our pieces. So our second one, B, our second size, is going to get folded the same way. So we're going to fold the big piece and then the 2 smaller pieces. So we'll fold the big piece first one direction, and then the 2 smaller pieces the opposite direction. Taper the corners, and then add tape to the tab. So this is A, this is B, they're folded the same exact way. And then C, we only have 1 of, and it's just scored in half. So you just get that folded in half. That's it. There's just 1 of those. So go ahead and fold all of these pieces first before we attach them. Alright, so we're going to start attaching. So we're going to take, I have pile A and pile B. So I'm going to take my first one, which is A. I'm going to have to move my pile A. And take a piece from pile B. And we're going to attach them. So we're going to line it up at that score line and attach, but not go over the score line. So here's the tape and the score line. So when we attach, we're going to line it up with the score line, but not go over it. That's over. You want to be able to see that crease. And then of course we're going to line it up and down with, make sure it's straight and lined up. So there we go. And then these two will attach together, and that will be our place for our page. And then we go back to A. So we attached A, B, and then A. So the difference between these pieces is the valley section right here. So this area right here is for our page. This is in between our pages. So our page gap is a little bit larger than in between our pages. Alright, so we're going to attach the same, lining it up. Not going over that score line. And you can kind of see where I attached it coming together. Okay, so all we're doing is going back and forth, attaching until the very end, and then of course the last piece is C. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these, and then we'll get to C. So the next one is A, B, A, and then the next is B. Alright, I have attached all the pieces except C, so I have C left over. I'll move this accordion piece out of the way and attach my last piece, and the last piece doesn't have any attachments to it, it's just the fold. And there we go. All of our pieces are done. And now that we got all this attached, we can go ahead and add tape to all of the sections and tape them closed. So the only tip that I have when taping these closed is trying to get the page, when you attach your two pieces together, just make sure your page is lined up to make this as straight as possible. If it's a little wonky, it's okay. We're gonna stick something back here to sturdy it straight up and to make it straight. So when you're attaching, you're going to go ahead and I'll go through a couple of those, but I don't need to record me adding tape to one section. So you're gonna attach tape to every other piece. All right. Okay, so I got every other piece taped, and now we're going to attach. I think I'm going to start from this side. It doesn't really matter which side you start from. And I think I'm also going to add extra adhesive. I always like to add extra adhesive. I don't know why, it just makes me feel more comfortable. So I'm going to throw a strip of my ATG glider on there. So the first one's pretty easy because it lays flat and you don't have to really pay too much attention. It's the next ones that you want to make sure when these two are attached, they're lined up, they're flush with each other, and then you have to worry about this part holding you down when you're trying to attach it. You just take it slow. And Just look at your angles to make sure they are straight. Add another piece of tape there. Take your bone folder. You might need to go the other, flip this around because I am not left-handed. So we'll get the next one attached. My tape went a little wonky on this piece, so I'm hoping it doesn't mess up too much. Nice and straight. So here is the start. So just move slowly, get it lined up. And then the pieces starting to come together. So just repeat the process until all of them are attached. And we got it nice and smooth looking. Alright, so I flipped it over because I'm right-handed and it works much better for me. But it's still the same process. I just attached a couple more and I'm going to go ahead and attach the last, do another one on camera. So it just folds. Just making sure that it's lined up at the top and the bottom evenly so it's smooth. I'm going to lay that flat. Flip these out and they are looking good. Almost done. But the pieces are coming together real well. Okay, I am all done. Look how smooth that is. Looks really good. And so for our connector pieces, let me take two here. So I'm just folding on the score line going the same direction. And to go with the theme of our album, I'm going to go ahead and stub punch the corners. So it requires two of these connectors for each page. And so when you take the page sections are the ones with the bigger valley sections. So you have a large, medium, large, medium. And these guys we're just going to attach so the page is open. So it's that pocket style right there. So now I made a pocket. So we can remove the pages. These don't get attached yet because I like some paper or something on here before these get attached. So I'm just going to have these prepped and set to the side and go look for some paper to put these on. And then there's a second binding piece that goes on the back of this to help it flow when it's on the album. All right. So the next thing we have for our binding is to mat everything. So the matting for this because these two pages attach with our closure piece right here, we're only going to mat the front side and then the back side. So we're not matting anything in the middle. So I've already cut out a full piece. So I had it so it matches our page. So this is our first page. So I'm adding this section, and then for this little piece I cut out these guys. So the only note that I have is when you're doing pattern paper and if you want it to match, that one side goes on the right and the one side goes on the left. So if you want it to match, that's how you're going to cut them. And then if you're going to punch the corners, which is what I'm going to do, is stub punch my corners. So it's gonna look like that. So these I'm only gonna stub punch the outside corners, and I'm not gonna do the inside. But if you wanted to punch the inside on this side, you can. And then I just repeat for the back side. So I have 2 more for the back side. So I'm going to ink these and get them all taped up before we move on to attach them. Alright, so I put one mat on, and so for the next mat, if I'm using pattern paper that matches, I'm just checking that and then attaching it to my next piece, centered, knowing that it's going to set like this. So then I'm going to flip them over, which is backwards. So I'm going to set them like that to attach the other 2. So we're going to go ahead and attach our binding mat. For our first page. Oh. So I have that attached with my 1/8 border. Skipping one, I almost attached it to the wrong thing. And, oops. So I have first skip and then the next one. So then I'm going to need to add my tape to this guy. Alright, I added my tape. So I'm only doing one side first, so I'm going to do the front. And we're going to line up the score line with the edge of our pocket piece right here. We're going to make sure it's in the middle. I'm eyeballing, making sure it's straight at the top and bottom. Gonna grab my other piece, and I'm going to repeat using my score line. I'm going to line it up, fold it over, again making sure that I'm still lined up, and there I go. So I'm going to do the next one. So I'm going to make sure this book is flat on the ground. I meant to say binding. That the section is flat. I'm going to line up, because if it's flat on the ground, it should just line up evenly and be matched. Like that. Oh. Lining it in inside that score line, wrapping it inside. So there is our first page. It looks good. And of course, I like to verify that this is perfect. Slide it on in there. Look at that. Looks good. Looks real good. Perfect. Okay. So you're going to do the same thing with the rest of the 4 pages. So you'll attach these 2, then these 2, and then the last 2. So just remember your page gaps is bigger, and then the in between the pages are smaller. So your page big, gaps between the pages are smaller. So get these all attached, and then we can work on the second binding piece. Okay, I got all of my pocket pieces matted. So this third one's different because I ran out of yellow, but it still goes with the paper. Time for our second binding piece, which gets put on the bottom of our binding. So our second binding piece has 3 score lines on one side and 3 on the other. So we're going to fold them in accordion style. So I'm folding the furthest closest to the inside one first. Fold opposite, fold opposite. So I got accordion fold here. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So it's mirrored image. So this is how we want to have our paper, because our binding is going to sit here. The magnet section, I'm going to draw where my piece is right here, because I don't want a magnet going over that section. So this is where I want my magnets to be in between. And then, where's my... So we're going to start with a couple of magnets up at the top. So this will be the top. Let me grab another magnet. See where I want them placed. So I do want 2 at the top for sturdiness. And then I have 8 in total. So kind of want them evenly spaced out. Okay, there we go. Something like that. Just evenly spaced out, but 2 on the top. That's just to, when your album is like this, we want to make sure that that top section is connected. So then we're going to cover this whole section right here in tape. So the full thing. And then we're going to attach it to our binding. So again, cover this entire thing with tape. So when you're covering everything, including the magnets, it's good to use your fingernail to go over that magnet to get that good place going over, so there's no gaps in the tape. And then use the magnetic scissors to cut the tape. My scissors keep there we go. Yes, we want this entire piece completely covered. Alright, and then you can see the magnets in it. Run your bone folder over, get this nice and smooth, make sure it's all stuck down. And then we're going to attach this on our binding. Alright, now that I covered it in tape, I'm going to attach it to this piece. Now before you did any of this, it's best to always check to make sure that you cut everything right, everything looks good, and everything will be even. So this should be cut so it's the size of this book, this binding, and then it is cut a little short at the top and bottom. So we're going to center it. So it's about 1/8 short at the top and bottom. So we want to make sure it's all centered when attached. Alright, so I got this all ready to go and I'm standing. So hopefully my head won't be in the shot. Just making sure it's even as I lay it down. So I got even to the edge. Now we definitely want to make sure this is stuck, so just keep running it back and forth. And just keep doing that until it's good and stuck. Next step is to place our second set of magnets. So we're going to place our magnets on top of the other ones. And I added tape to the piece. Now before we remove this tape, we're going to get our cover here and just make sure everything is going to fit and where we're going to place it. So we do need to take a look at that, see where our placement is going to go, and then we're going to attach. So it looks like we're going to have about 1/4 on both sides, and then let me take a look. I can't see. I'm trying to figure out what our placement at the top and bottom is going to be. All right. Actually, before I do that, a tip, which I learned this from the last ones that I've made. So I'm going to put a piece of paper down first. It's going to make it a buffer when I place them. I can use this paper to help attach it to the back wall, spine, wall, then to get it removed from the other magnets. So, and then we're going to want to remove these. And last but not least, you need to make sure that you have your front piece faced to the front cover. Oh, the fun part. You never want to mess up. Of course, I'm eyeballing, so I'm going to be off camera because I'm trying to see it. I haven't attached it yet. Making sure that I'm even at the top and bottom. Making sure I'm lined up. Multiple moving parts. Barely let go, but it looks even. All right, press down. Not hard. You don't want to bend your pockets before you get your pages put in there, but pressing down. Lift up. Trying to hold on to that paper, which I should have made a smaller paper because this one was a little too big. So it's getting caught in the Did they all attach? Oh, they all attached. Nice. Okay, so while I have this out, I'm going to take this paper out, which is going to be turned around and put on this side. That's going to attach our magnets, put our spacer in between this wall and this wall to make sure our magnets are secure. So let me take out this tape. So this piece is just slightly shorter than this piece. So I'm going to slide this down as even as I can. And I'm going to pick it up. This is, steady. All right. Okay, perfect. Use my ruler, but it's magnetic. So I'm just going to actually press down. Gently. Pressing down gently. Pop it up. Wonder if my hand, oh, well, I could fit some of it in there. We want to make sure that it's, definitely don't want to rip it. So I'm going to use my ruler with the magnetic edge. And sit back down. Okay. Alright, so let's see how this does. So I got it attached where I want it. And then there we go. I got it to, oh, it looks, look at that. Oh, look at that. perfect. It looks so good. Okay, let's see what it looks like with our pages in. There we go. Okay, and then we'll just open it. Yep, it looks good. Looks good. Okay, we're going to work on the inside cover, which is a lot like the first page pocket section. So we're going to do this for the inside cover. And so we have our pocket piece first. We have our two pockets. So we have a long pocket and a short pocket. So we're going to go ahead and on the long pocket, just fold on the score lines. And we're going to taper our corners. And then add our tape to our tabs. And then for our small pocket, we're going to trim at an angle. So I need to get my cutting mat. Alright, so I'm going to do my mark first. And when I draw my line, I'm going to go from the score line. So I'm going to go through the score line and not the corner. And cut. So that's what this side looks like. Now, let me fold this real quick. So that is for the back right cover. And the back left cover is going to be the opposite. So we're going to have mirrored image covers. So our front left is going to have the angle on, the pocket's going to be on the left side, and then this one's pocket on the right side. So we want it mirrored image. And then we're going to taper our corners. Now this corner gets tapered a little bit more because this is at an angle. So if you want, you can trace or draw so you know how far to cut. So you want to cut on the inside of that line so when it folds it doesn't hang over. Oh, let me flip over that way and add my tape. Now we have our mat that we need to trim off as well. So I'm going to make my mark. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink and tape this piece along with my other mats. So I have the mat for our large pocket, which doesn't need to be a full mat because this guy's going to go over it. Then I have my mat for above my pocket. And then I have one more mat that I cut out for our tag. So our tag has scored a line in the middle. We're just going to fold that, and then we have our cover. On the inside are going to be our photo mats. So and that's going to be out of cardstock. So for matting purposes. For the pattern paper, this is what I have for our page. So let me finish inking and taping these guys. Okay, so for our pockets and our back and front covers, I have I attached my mat with a 1/8 inch border, and then this guy is going to get attached like so. So I'm not going to attach it all the way up against this spine right here. It's 1/4 of an inch away from it, and then this goes about 1/8 of an inch from this side, because I am sliding this guy in from this side, and it'll be flush against this line and then the bottom line. So it is hard to see. Let me see if I can scrub that in. So you can see that it's not full up against this edge right here, and then it's not up against this score line right here. So I'm just going to go follow the line at the bottom. To get it smooth. And then again, this guy we are going to attach so it slides underneath this pocket. And we're going to attach it so it's even with the mat. And then we will, let me fold this and make sure it looks good. Okay, and then I cut a mat for, oops, above the pocket. I'm going to add an extra adhesive to that. So this guy is going to go again with the 1/8 inch border. There we go. And then I have our tag, which I need to put some mats on the inside, and that's going to go. Then we got our tag in here, and then we can make some other tags just like the ones in our pages, and make some pieces, make some additional tags for in here. Alright, and then when we attach our other side, we are going to attach so our pocket is attached first, and then our small pocket gets attached to the left side. So it's going to be mirrored image. And there is our 2 inside covers. Now we just need to add a couple more tags for the pockets. Alright, I finished my tags. So this guy and this guy are both the same tags from Page Style 1. And then this guy, I have added my 4 page mats. So that's identical to this side. So now my inside pockets, inside pages are complete.